E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation. Yo, what's going on, people? In today's video, I am going to be showing you my personal favorite method for finding brands that I can reach out to partner with directly to sell their products on Amazon. Now, my tool of choice, as you can see, is SmartScout. There is a link in the description of the video that will give you 25% off your first 3 months for SmartScout. So let's get into the technique. So the first thing you're going to need to do, go over to the Brands tab and then go to Filters. And now this is going to help us look for the exact kind of brand that we know has the potential for us to work with. So we can pick a category. We'll get to that in a second. I like to max out at Amazon in-stock rate around 50%. I find that that's kind of a good cutoff point. Once you get above that, it normally is Amazon is going to be in stock 80-90% of the time, which in that situation means they're going to have most of the buy box. And I'm looking for brands where maybe at the most, Amazon is just kind of coming in and out of stock. So typically, if we put it at 50% max, we're going to see mostly brands that have very low Amazon in-stock rate. Average number of sellers, put the minimum at 3, so we know they already have resellers. We can also put a max on this. At first, I like to leave it open, but at least a minimum of 3. Average selling price, I don't like to sell products that retail for less than $25. Once it gets less than $25, there's just not as much wiggle room, and obviously we know pricing changes, buy box can change, and anything under $25, it just becomes a lot more challenging to make profit consistently. My sweet spot is really $35 and above, so I put my minimum selling price at $25. Monthly revenue, this is one of the most cool things about SmartScout, is that they give you brand level data. And this is what makes it really, really powerful when we're using this technique. So we can look for brands that have an estimated revenue that is within our target range. And it is advantageous to look for brands that are selling a little bit less. So we don't want to look for a big brand like an Apple, like a Nike, like a Microsoft, right? Because opening a brand direct account with them is going to be very challenging. And they're doing multiple millions, tens of millions a month on revenue on Amazon. We want to look for brands that are smaller. So when I say smaller, I like to look for brands that are doing 10,000 to even 50,000 in revenue a month. Now, you can go higher, you can go even lower, depending on what your bankroll is, how much money you have available to spend. But this is a good place to start. You could even do 10,000 to 100,000. And then as you're looking at a specific category, again, you can adjust those. But this is where I like to start. Average size of the product, I just leave these blank. Total number of reviews, I want a product that we know is getting at least some sales, right? So I like to put it at 10. Sometimes I'll go higher. And again, you can adjust these filters. This is just my starting point. Total product count, I leave this blank as well. If a brand has a lot of products, awesome. If they only have one product, that could also be a good sign. That could mean that maybe they have other products on their website, but they're not all listed on Amazon, and that's something we can help them do. So again, I just leave that where it is for now. Average number of FBA sellers, I leave this blank as well because I'm really just concerned about the total number of sellers on the brand. Average review rating, I go 3.5 stars. Preferentially, I want us to be selling something that's 4 stars and above. The reason why I go down to 3.5 is sometimes these brands that we're working with, if their listings are not optimized, if the pictures aren't good, if the bullet points aren't good, some of the bad reviews could be because people don't understand what the product actually is and what it's doing. So if we're able to partner with them and help them clean up their listings, fix their SEO, the average rating could actually go up over time if the customer has a better understanding of what the product actually is. So that's why I put it at 3.5 stars. Okay, so this is a fairly loose search. Let's pick a random subcategory too. Let's see. I want to go into a category that I'm not super familiar with. Let's do tools and home improvement. This is a category that I don't have too many products in and not any brand directs at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what we find. Okay, so now we have pulled up 221 brands in the tools and automotive category, tools and home improvement category that fit the criteria that we just entered in. And now there are some ways that we can further sort through these brands. So the first thing I like to do is scroll over to the monthly revenue section and have this sorted by highest revenue to lowest revenue, which it looks like it already is, but let me just double check. Yep. Okay, so now we're seeing the biggest brand at the top, and then in terms of estimated monthly revenue, and then it's going down from there. Now, the other thing, let's see, we can see total product count. So you can see, right, this, even though they have the most estimated revenue, they only have 2 products. We can also see the average number of sellers. We can see the brand score, which is essentially SmartScout saying how good is the brand's presence on Amazon, how good are their listings. We can see dominant sellers. And this is another thing that I like to filter through. So once we get to dominant seller, you can see dominant seller sales percentage. This guy has 100% of that. So let's click in to show what that looks like. So you can click on that magnifying glass. We're going to go over to sellers, pull it up right to that tab. So number of sellers, 2. Estimated brand share, or number of offers, 2. Estimated brand share, 100, which this looks like it's just the brand. Seal once, Anchor Seal. The name of the brand is Anchor Seal 2. So this means the brand themselves is selling all of their products, and they are the only person doing that. So I'm not even going to touch this brand, because if a brand's selling their products themselves on Amazon, the likelihood of getting that account is low. So on that note, what I'd like to do is further filter by dominant seller sales percentage. So essentially what this is saying, the dominant seller has the seller who has the most amount of offers and is on these listings and in stock the most. How much of the buy box share essentially are they getting across the brand? So the next thing we can do here is set a maximum on this. So let's say we go to 50%. So that means the dominant seller only has 50% estimated brand share. That took out more than half of the other options. And this is really good because, again, this is going to prevent you running into situations where either the brand is really selling themselves or they might have an exclusive or semi-exclusive deal with another seller. Now, again, 50%, that's just going to give us options where we're going to see a lot more rotation, which is a good sign for us as we're reaching out. But you could also increase that number to even 60, 70%. And I've still had success opening accounts with brands where the dominant seller has that range, but 50% is a good place to start. Okay, now let's look through some of these brands now. So the next thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to sort this now by average number of FBA sellers, because some of these we're actually seeing less than 3 on this one. So I'm going to just put the minimum to 3. Okay, now we're looking at 18 brands. So this is now we're really looking at some high potential stuff here. So first one, this Precision Lock, I see that they have 7 sellers. The dominant seller only has 44%, and the dominant seller is Amazon. So that means they're selling directly to Amazon, but they're not in stock all the time. Estimated monthly revenue, $32,000. Total average number of sellers, 8. Average price, 31. So this one's looking pretty good. Let's see what their brand presence look like. And before we get to Amazon, I just want to talk through some of this other data. So the other nice tab that I like to look at is the products. And now we can see, okay, they've got 5 products that are listed under this brand. The top product's doing about $14,000 a month. We can see the sales rank, average price. So this is also interesting. The top one only has 1 seller, I'm going to open up that listing, see what it is. It might just be the brand or it might be Amazon. But the next two listings have 15 and 14 sellers, so they're clearly resellers on that listing. Ships from and sold by Amazon. So this is probably where Amazon is getting 20% of the brand share. Amazon has been on this listing pretty much by themselves the entire time. So not sure exactly why this particular listing would only have Amazon and not another one. But let's go and look at this one that has resellers. So you've got the version of it, and then the XHD. Again, I'm not super familiar with door locks and what all of this means, but got two versions on here. Estimated sales in SellerAmp 462, so it's moving with decent velocity. And it's definitely a lot more than that, because Keep is saying the main variation is doing 500. And let's see what the other variation is doing. $100. Yeah, so this listing is doing very decent volume. They've got a lot of resellers on here, so people are maybe buying this OA, maybe buying it from distributors. But the first thing I'm noticing here is that these listing images definitely need to be updated. This is not an attractive main image. These images are not descriptive. They're no graphics. My guess is this listing's been around for a really long time. Yeah, a few years. Not as long as I expected, but it's been around for a while, which is also a good sign. And they're clearly dealing with pricing as well. Like, the pricing is way lower than what it could be. So if you were able to work with them exclusively, you would be able to get the pricing up, and you would also be able to provide some additional services for them as well. So this is the kind of brand that I would definitely reach out to, ask if you can sell their products. Another thing that you can see is they don't have a brand storefront. So that's also something that they're missing out on in terms of SEO and conversion of eyeballs. Brand storefront is always good to have, and that probably means they also don't have A+ content as well, would be my guess. Yeah, they don't have A+ content. So they might not even be brand registered. So you could get them in brand registry, which would then unlock a ton more things that they're able to do in terms of controlling and upgrading their listings. So that's my process on how I do research to find brands. And those are some of the things that I will offer to brands as additional services. Hope you find value in this video. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, listen to the podcast, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.